and welcome to Inner Circle Guidance. Today we're going to be doing a collective reading, but for those of you who are new to the circle, hello and welcome. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I post new videos every single day. And if you're looking for daily short tarot readings, check out my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts. If you're looking for personal services or personal readings, I offer them through my website, innercircleguidance.com. Let's find out what the circle needs to know today. We have the King of Swords. We have the Knight of Cups. We have the Four of Pentacles. We have the Emperor. We have the Six of Pentacles. And we have the Knight of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. Wow, okay. We have a lot of court cards. All right. Some of you need to work on your communication. And I'm seeing that because we have the King of Swords on the table here. And this is not the communication that you're thinking of. This is communication with spirit and your guides. This is being consistent in that communication because we have the Knight of Pentacles on the table here. I'm seeing that you've gotten really good with aligning to your energetic communication with your guides. You have not, though, gotten to the point where you are consistently communicating outside of that. So what I'm seeing here, some of you are feeling a little disconnected at this time and a little isolated, or you feel like your guides are being silent or are not giving you the messages that you're looking for. Or you don't really know which direction to go and you have all these options, but you're afraid of losing the stability you currently have. And I'm seeing that you're very much in this like control phase of your spiritual practices, where it's like you want to be in control of your manifestations. And that's understandable, but you have to remember that your relationship to spirit and to your guides has to be reciprocal. It's just like every other relationship. There has to be respect. There has to be communication, there has to be boundaries, and there has to be an equal give and take. You need to extend your ability out to communicate more with your guides, more than just energetically. You can do that through meditation. You can literally write them a letter and thank them for all the things they've done for you, ask them to help you with A, B, and C, tell them what your worries or your fears are. You can literally communicate to them like that. For some of your guides, remember, they don't all speak. Some of them do, some of them don't. If you have guides that are more of a feeling and more of an energy versus a verbal presence, or if you don't have the gift to hear your guides, then you may need to go more off of your feelings and you may need to communicate more through your visualizations. Visualize them being near you and that presence and that feeling. Once you know that they're there, then you can start visualizing the things that you are wanting to achieve, and that's a way of communicating as well. For others of you, you may need to start speaking your communication out, like verbally. I almost said into the air, but that's like a weird way of putting that, but like you need to actually physically talk. And I know that can sound kind of weird because you're like, oh, I'm sitting here in my living room talking to myself. That's a technique that has been found to be very successful, especially if you are doing affirmations. It sometimes helps to actually speak them out loud versus just reading or writing them. It puts a different feeling behind it, and it's a different tool to try to use and to see if it works for you. So as you're going about your practices, mainly you want to get into some sort of consistency here that's easily maintainable, because certain practices are going to take more energy from certain people, whereas other practices are going to come more naturally or be easier for others. You're really being asked to get more consistent, because part of this sort of feeling of isolation and this disconnected feeling that you have with spirit and your guides is because you're doing the right things, but you're not doing it consistently enough, or you're not using enough tools to communicate all aspects of what you're trying to achieve or what you're asking for help for or how to move forward. And so you're losing a bit of that communication and you're losing a bit of that reciprocity because it's just not getting to them in the first place. You need to work on your communication. You need to work on being consistent. You need to work on finding the tools and techniques that work best for you. For some of you, that means stepping out of your comfort zone and trying some things you haven't done before. It may feel very silly to walk around your house and talk to your guides as if they're your best friends sitting in your living room. But you may come to find that that actually works better than whatever it is that you're doing. And so this week, I want you to really start looking into other ways you can communicate and build a stronger relationship with your guides. For some of you, that's going to mean you're going to need to prioritize things like going out and walking every morning for 15 minutes. Some of your guides are the type of guides who are going to send you messages through like bugs or animals or feathers or leaves or things like that are more nature-based. You need to figure out how your guides communicate and then make it consistent so that you can communicate with them in that way. And you need to evolve these practices as you go along. For some of you who have been doing this for a long time, you may forget that because it kind of becomes a habit that A, B, and C work, that you sort of forget to try other things or do other things that maybe you used to do that you haven't done in a while. Especially as you gain more guides that decide to be allies with you, there's going to be different ways you're going to need to communicate with each one. And remember, some guides are not going to communicate with each other. I have 2 guides who have known each other as long as I've known them, and they don't particularly like each other. It's not that they have anything against each other. They'd rather be completely separate from each other. They have 2 totally different ideas about how to go about things. That's fine. But with those 2 types of guides, that means I have to communicate with this one, and then I have to communicate with that one. They're not going to communicate with each other. So if I tell one thing and they know what's going on, the other one's not going to know unless I communicate with that one. You need to keep this in mind as you're going about your spiritual practices. And some of you, I know this probably has never even crossed your mind, but the spiritual realm is not as different from our realm as we think it is. There's a lot more similarities than I think people give it credit for, because we always want to think about the spiritual realm as this like mysterious, ethereal thing, which it definitely can be, but there's also just like a lot of things with that I think get lost because we get so caught up in like the mysticism of it that we forget that a lot of these guides and things have a lot of the same emotions and things that we do. They have their own intentions. They have their own way about doing things. We've talked about this in some other readings, but you need to build individual relationships, not just a relationship as a whole. So if you have, say, you have 4 different guides and you've just been writing a letter to, as your way of talking to all of them, that may not be the right way to go about it. So you're being asked to reflect on that at this time, extend the offer, start trying different ways of communicating, different techniques, and see what happens when you do it. You may come to find that certain guides have a better understanding of what the heck's going on or what you're asking of them if you are more individualized with your approach. And so that is going to be your affirmation as I am learning to individualize my relationship with my guides. If you have any questions, of course, I'm here for you in the comments below. And as always, may your life be full of light, full of love, abundance, and gratitude. I'll see you next time.